and I'll urge everybody who's curious about it to come on over Saturday. We'll make room for you over at the Holiday Inn at Springdale. In Louisiana, John Mark Robinson, W5JMR, down in Shreveport. In Mississippi, Malcolm Cone, W5XX. Malcolm has a distinction of being the longest serving section manager in the league. Does a really good job for us. Malcolm was once upon a time a vice director for this division many years ago. And in Tennessee, Keith Miller, N5DGK, is our section manager, and that will change at the first of the year. We have a number of assistant directors around the division, and they can be geographic in nature or function specific. And for Arkansas, we just have one because I'm here, but Dennis Schaefer down in Russellville, W5RZ. Dennis is a past section manager and just a good guy, those of you that know him, and very dependable, very steady. Then the rest of them, Keith Barnes in Louisiana, Gary Stratton in Louisiana. Keith is in South Louisiana, and Gary's in North Louisiana at Shreveport. Keith's down in the New Orleans area. Ed Bird's down on the Gulf Coast. Frank Howell's in Mississippi and Jackson. Frank's also my pollster. He does a lot of my statistical work for me, the division. And Charlie Curl's over in East Tennessee. Randy Smith in West Tennessee. Like I say, they can be specific as to function too. And John Williams from Booger County, K5 DVT, is our youth assistant director. And we also, Phil Green's our news, excuse me, our website webmaster, also helps with the newsletter, and Steve Waterman is our FEMA representative digital guy. He's also one of the WinLink gurus out there, and Hank Keebler is a TEMA representative for us. We also have a new newsletter editor, and that's Catherine Goodrich, W4CMG, and Catherine has been putting together the Tennessee newsletter, and it is newsletter time for us again, so if you have anything newsworthy, any pictures, any photos, any information, any articles that you'd like to just write and throw out there, we're always looking for content. We do this on a quarterly basis, or try to, and we put it up online. Along with those people within the cabinet, as I call it, we also have advisory committee members for the league. The league has a number of advisory committees. At one time we used to have 4, now we're down to 2. But the 2 standing advisory committees are the Contest Advisory Committee and the DX Advisory Committee, CAC, DX, AC as you see there. And Steve Rutledge, N4JQQ, is our new DXAC representative from Memphis, and he's also an ADXA member. And Stan Stockton, K5GO, is our CAC representative from Siloam. Used to be Harrison, had the big station there. Amy Bullock, N5TBB from Ripley, Louisiana, is our Legislative Action Programs Coordinator. And that's our new newsletter and our logo, and there's where to get it. And we'll be posting up a new one very soon. This brings us to another point in the program tonight, and it was my distinct pleasure, and after a little bit of confusion, the Delta Division Ham of the Year. A little bit of a paperwork snafu. We first thought it was Ron. And it's a blind system, the way we select the Delta Division Ham of the Year. You don't know who it is or where they came from because the applications have been scrubbed. And of course I don't get to see them because in the event of a tie, I decide. So they don't let me see them because I'm the tiebreaker. Well, it came down to it. First we thought it was Ron. I said, well, that's cool. Ron won it. That's great. Sent out the congratulations, put out the announcement, made a fool of myself. And then it turns out, no, it's not. I did the nomination. Something got filled out wrong on the form. I'm not sure what happened. But we made a mistake, and actually it was Glenn, WB5L, your president, that was nominated and was selected as the Ham of the Year. So without further ado, I'd like to present him with his plaque that we've been holding for so long, and it's time to get this to him. Glenn, Mr. President. You're welcome, sir. Get the right hand going.
Yeah.
Get the pictures. Get several.
Give us your best.
Give us your best look. Give my best side.
The only side.
Ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. All right. Don's got the big one there. Okay, we got it. We're good.
Thank you,
Glenn,
sir.
congratulations.
I do appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal, guys. This is out of 4 states, out of a number of nominees from all 4 states. And this was an open nomination process. 2020, we're going to a different form. We're going to have the state or the section Hams of the Year. The 4 of them are going to be dropped into the pot for selection, and we'll select from that. So if you want to get a Delta Division Ham of the Year, they need to be a state section Ham of the Year. And I'll give you the box that goes with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's have a hand for Glenn again. Congratulations. That's great. That is a big deal. That really is. That's a big deal. That's a good award. Well, I'm going to kick it into a little bit faster speed, talk a little bit what we did at the board last July. And this is kind of getting old because we're fixing to have another board meeting in about a month. About 5 weeks out from another board meeting. 6 weeks out from another board meeting. We did several things. We made some steps to support the change in the digital communication symbol rates on keyboard-to-keyboard communication. We've also changed into the new Amateur Auxiliary Program. We are now operating under the Volunteer Monitor, the VM program. More about that later. We're looking at the life membership dues rates. We're considering a pro rata after a certain age on life memberships, which I think is a good deal. We banned robot contacts in contests, and we banned robot contacts for DXCC credit. We've added a QRP category to the RIDI Roundup, and we voted to add Saudi Arabia and Seychelles to the IARU. We moved to strengthen our vendor-manufacturer relationships, and we created the Research Working Group. And we advanced the MCOM Director title. That's something that we're coming up with. Since Mike Corey left, we've decided we're going to change the way that whole side of headquarters and ARRL operates. We're going to give a little more emphasis to ARRL now, a little more attention to the field organization, and do some things we need to do to advance in the 21st century the way the served agencies work and the way that the amateur community has been trending with our communication needs and our skill sets. So we're working on new programs there. The other thing that we've advanced, of course, is a lifetime learning project from a firm up in Connecticut called Mintz & Hoke. And out of this, we're going to get a new website finally, one that hopefully works a lot better than what we have. I've not been happy with this website from day one when we put it up. And Mike Keene and the guys, W1MK, Mike and his IT department basically has this thing running on Band-Aids and baling wire. So it's time to get that fixed. We're going to have new Elmering content on there, new teaching content, the educational content, teaching content, if you will, is basically going to be taking some better YouTube videos. We're going to go out and get some quality production on these. We're going to go out and find good EE professors around the country that have volunteered to do this, and they're going to put electrical engineering classes and other physics classes and type things on the website. So you can go on there and take a course. You can audit a course on there. So that's going to be pretty powerful, I think. We're also going to have training for ARRLs. We're going to have training for National Traffic System. We're going to have DIY projects, antenna projects, amplifier projects, anything just floating around out there to help the hams. Now, it'll probably cost us $1 million in the end. That's why I call it the $1 million baby. But it's going to be an outreach tool because the younger, new hams out there don't do things the way that Ron and I do things, the way Tim and I do things, the way Don and I do things back in the past. They're geared a little differently. So we're going to reach out to some of these folks, and I think it'll help us. So we're going to try something different, because I say down at the bottom, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to come up with the same results. So let's think outside the box, and this gives us a tool to do that with. It's an outreach tool. The research working group, this is something that we came up with. Frank Howell and myself were talking about it before the last board meeting, and we got scratching our heads and kicking some ideas back and forth. We decided, well, what about an advisory committee? I said, Frank, no. You got 15 members in the advisory committee, and basically, you know how it is. When you get more than 5 people on a committee, it starts to become a problem. And so we decided, yeah, we can make it a working group and limit the number. And that's what we came up with. And it's going to work in concert with the Lifetime Learning Project. And also, it's being defined right now and implemented by our Administration and Finance Committee. And it will consist of HQ staff, board members, and some selected expert member volunteers out there. And the purpose is to acquire feedback and input from you, the members, via polling and data research. And we've got some pretty good tools out there that we've been playing with geomapping and other statistical correlation tools that we've come up with that are pretty neat. And of course, again, the purpose is to better serve the membership on key issues, find out what your pulse is, what your needs are, and try to respond. Again, provide better membership value. That's what we're trying to do. Our new VM, our new OO, it's no longer Official Observer Program, it is the Volunteer Monitor Program. And how many of y'all remember that guy, Riley Hollingsworth? Well, the new sheriff in town is the old sheriff, so I think things are going to be on the uptick as far as enforcement. The FCC wanted this program. They had some guidelines. We met with them over a number of years, actually, and came up with something workable, what they wanted and what we could implement. And we got just the right guy to do it, Mr. Hollingsworth. And he volunteered to take this on, and he's done a fantastic job. He knows what the FCC wants. He knows enforcement. We all can attest to that. And we're looking for some good results out of Riley. I think this is going to be a big plus for us. I think we're going to get some quicker enforcement. We're going to get a little quicker reaction out of the FCC. We're able to gather evidence for them in a positive way that they can take and use. The training for this is a little more extensive than what you had to do to be an official observer, and it's going to be ongoing training. It'll be updated. The FCC has certain needs and criteria, and we're here to meet that. And if it gets us better enforcement, I'm all for it. And I think this is going to be a huge, huge help for us.
What about the issues with people that they already know about that we're not doing anything about?
Well, they're going to start doing some things about it. Now remember, they have to go through due process with all of that. One of the problems that we've been having with the federal courts, if you will, and when they go to prosecute these guys, it's just, where does it stack with the Justice Department? So trying to get that into queue is another issue, but at least we can get fines levied, we can get, notices of apparent liability sent out to them, and get them shut down. You know, back in the day, they used to have the white vans that rolled around and did a pretty good job of coercing folks well, I wouldn't say coercing, but enforcing the rules. I mean, when the white van would show up in town, everybody would straighten up, and you knew they were coming. But it's gotten kind of lax over the years, and you know, we're just not a high priority with the federal government. We're really not. It's all about the money when you break it down, and it's really it's a pretty complicated story. I'd love to tell you about it sometime, but there's a lot to it. But quite frankly, we're not a revenue generator, and we're not a high priority. Now, you know, a lot of times these knuckleheads, they get out there and they do these, they jam, they break all kinds of regulations and rules. When they cross over and get into public service, which a lot of them do, that's when they get nailed. And we're seeing quite a bit of that when it happens, and we do get action out of it at that point. But, you know, a lot of the trouble we have with some of these guys, it's hard to get anything done because they got to go through the process again with the federal prosecutors and the federal courts. So, you know, one thing there are some things we've talked about doing, and I could speak to that later because it's there are solutions out there. We just got to coax somebody into doing it. ARRL update on the program. There again, the title of Emergency Management Director. Why did we pick that name instead of a department head or manager? Well, this better fits with what the emergency management folks operate under. A director title means something to them, and that's why we chose that. The ARRL is a new department now of emergency management, and it is dedicated to ARRL and emergency communications. And of course, ARRL Connect is the thing. I don't know how many of you work in the field organization like with your county EC or the DEC. Anybody? Nobody's in the field org? Right there he is. Okay, cool. Have you worked with ARRL Connect? What title do you hold?
I don't.
You don't? You just work with your EMA? Okay. Well, we'd be interested in getting you involved in the field organization. I'm sure Jay would love to see you. Drop me a card and I'll pass it on to him tomorrow. We've had John Luther down in Washington County for many years, and you know, I'm sure we can use all the help we can get up here, but I'll pass that on to him. You know, we've wanted a database. ARRL Connect, what the heck is that? Well, that's a database of our volunteers and their capabilities. We needed this for Katrina, and we kind of had to really scramble around to get folks put together to send in an area that was devastated on a widespread scale down there. And it was a problem. We just had to sit there and vet everybody on an individual basis. And we got thinking about it, talking amongst ourselves as section managers at the time. I was Arkansas section manager at the time Katrina hit, and talking with my colleagues. Said, boy, it sure would be nice if we had a database that we could look this stuff up and not have to go through this process with every person that came in. So that's where the idea was born. Well, it took forever to do this. This is one of the slowest moving things I've ever seen go through the board. But we finally came up with ARRL Connect. Now, it's got some bugs, it's got some glitches, but it is being fixed. So now we've got this database we're putting together where we can get a read on someone that's wanting to come in to help us in an affected area. Amen and hallelujah. I'm glad we finally got that going. So, you know, I can go home a happy man, if nothing else, with that. Because I have been trying for years to get that done, and we finally got something going forward. It's not perfect yet, but we are getting something, and something's better than nothing. Another thing with the new ARRL program is we're here to promote more open channels to the section managers and the SECs back to headquarters in these situations like Katrina or other more widespread disasters, even localized disasters that are pretty intense. And of course, we want to stress support for our served agency and our NGO partners. And we're here to help them and provide communications for them. Moving on, talking about the FCC a little bit, what we have going in front of them. This is an old slide, but the topics are still here. These are some of the filings that we have that we're commenting on. We've commented on some of them, but technician enhancement, rulemaking 11.823 is one. Of course, 11.708 is the symbol rate change. And 11.831 is identity of signals. That's one we didn't file, but we have commented on. And I'll be happy to talk to anybody about these anytime. I think we're going to move on. We'll talk a little bit about technician enhancement and kind of see what folks think there. But here's what we got on technician enhancement. How many of y'all think that's a good idea? Hands. Some of them. I think the digital side of that, I think that's a great idea because we've got underutilized spectrum for technicians, and it sure would be great if we could get them on FT8, WinLink, and help us out on those frequencies that they already have. And you know what? They already take a test for the mode. They already have the privilege on 10. I don't think that's too big a stretch to put them here. The place where I'm really getting the most negative feedback, got the most negative feedback, was the phone privileges. And it was pretty widespread, pretty loud. We don't like that. So the comment period came up, people made their comments, and let's see what the FCC does. What prompted this? What prompted us to do this? Well, we had a committee formed, the ELL, which was the Enhanced Entry-Level Licensing Committee, that was formed by New England's division director, who had been for years wanting to bring back the technician license, or bring back the novice license, excuse me. And the FCC is absolutely not going to do it. Tom brought it up again as a motion about 3 years ago, and we told him, Tom, they're not going to do this. Well, I want to make this motion anyway. So this is what came out of that motion. It kind of morphed into something else because they're not going to add another class of license because the ULS system will not allow it, and that's their holy sacred cow at the FCC. So we can't add another slot in there. That's too much trouble. So what we came up with was a proposal on enhancement of the technician privileges. And it was interesting how we came about this. We did a survey. One thing our last CEO, our past CEO, Tom Gallagher, did was he did do this exit survey of amateurs, technicians predominantly, that dropped out of the hobby and dropped out of the league. And here's the reasons that we found. And I kind of did a little digging into it. The number one reason, and this is something we can really do something about, was lack of mentoring, lack of Elmering. That was the number one issue that they had, why they quit. Followed closely by we weren't able to pursue HF or had little exposure on HF. And they weren't able to operate the new digital modes on the open HF bands because 10's not that great as of late. Though I have been on there working stuff. Call CQ sometime. You might be surprised what you hear. They were limited to repeaters and VHF and UHF, and nobody's on. We're all guilty. Guilty. And of course, some just had no interest, and it kind of made me think about something my Elmer told me many, many years ago, is ham radio isn't for everybody. However, some of these folks, they may have stayed, you know, if one or more of the above had happened. So that's kind of what led us into this technician enhancement, this enhanced privilege rulemaking petition with the FCC. Where that goes, I have no idea what the FCC is going to do. Only the FCC knows, and I don't know if the FCC knows half the time.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
you said you had allowed negative response on the phone privileges. What kind of response did you get on the digital?
It was mostly positive. I did have a few people, you know, say that, you know, by golly, I had to crack the code and do this, that, and, you know, get my code speed up. Well, we don't even test them on code anymore. They don't learn it. They come back after the fact and learn it. And I can show you some really good young CW operators out there. But, you know, this, the digital part had a lot more positive. It was a positive overall, pretty much overwhelmingly positive response on that. You know, I'd say it was about a 70% positive. The other one was a majority, no, we don't like it for the phone privileges. So we'll see where that goes.
Are they going to change the band plan? I mean, it's pretty crowded in FTA areas already.
Well, it's going to be what it is. They're working on a new band plan, actually. The band planning committee's coming up with some recommendations. We'll probably have a new band plan before too much longer. FT8, I operate quite a bit of FT8 now. I hate to admit that, but I do. CW guy, you know, that's kind of almost a heresy. But I do operate a lot of FT8. Why do I operate a lot of FT8? Because that's where the DX is. And there's some good stuff on there. And yeah, there's a lot of stations on, but I'm not really experiencing a whole lot of, you know, I work everybody I want to work. You know, just jump in there and get it. The other thing, kind of move forward here, talk about levels of membership. This is something we're toying with. Again, kind of goes with that lifetime membership, coming up with the prorated due structure for that for older folks. So we came up with something else we're looking at, and you're going to start seeing some of that right now in a different sort of way. We're making a lot of our publications online, like NCJ and QEX. They're going to be free to members on a digital online form. You can still get the print if you want it. You got to pay for it, but if you don't want it, you can. If you're a member, you can get it. So we're starting to offer a few things to incentivize our membership. But one of the things we're really looking at is levels of membership. Well, what's that? Well, it's going to be options on your membership, options on publications, and options on dues at some point. We may see a dues reduction with a level of that. Maybe. It's being discussed. So, you know, we're looking for better membership value. And this is what, you know, I would really appreciate from you is to get some feedback on that. What do you think would better enhance your ARRL membership? I'm looking for ideas. And I want to hear from the membership on this. I want to hear what you think. Kind of look at our membership stats while we're here. I updated this last night or this morning, sometime last night. Here we are. Arkansas. There we're kind of flopping around over the year. We were there. Here we had a little bit of a gain. So we've been having more gains than not in the last months, and so it's better. Division overall, we're doing better than the national level. I would like to see this get into a plus instead of a minus. We're almost there. But as you can see, Tennessee once again beat us. I hate it when Tennessee beats Arkansas.
Not this year.
Well, count your blessings. I don't have to listen to Ed. I don't have to listen to the guys over in Knoxville. Boy, Rocky Top, what a song. My brother-in-law is a UT graduate. His bathroom, and my sister threw all this out a few years ago. She got tired of it. He had a Vol toilet seat that when you flipped it up, it played Rocky Top. That thing mysteriously broke. All that stuff got bagged up and was thrown in the trash one afternoon, and she had gone in and turned it into an Arkansas bathroom. I said, good going, sis. I'll even give you my Uncle Heavy's hog hat to put in there. But yeah, we have a bunch of jokes going back. How do you call a ball? Hey, stupid, come here. I'm sorry, Tennessee folks. I need to. It's all in good fun. But let's talk about Alabama. How about that? Let's talk. Anybody from here from Alabama, UA, Alabama grads? Good. Let's talk about them. But anyway, we see where we are. We're ahead of the national trend, which is good. But again, I'd like to see this get into plus. I like that minus to go away and have us a plus in here. So anything we can do to help make our membership value better, anything I can do to help you sell the league and get more members in here, I'll be happy to do it. Anything we can do to make this organization thrive is great, because we represent amateur radio. You don't see CQ Magazine lobbying Congress. You don't see them working with the FCC as closely as we do. And we've got a good new attorney for the league, counsel for the FCC, working for us. Dave Siddall, who used to work for the FCC, is now our counsel, league counsel to the FCC, and he's doing a fantastic job. Dave is sharp. Not to slight Chris Imlay, but I've really been impressed with Dave Siddall the last several months. Membership drive, that brings us to this. We're back at it, membership drive. We're going to be putting out new rules for 2020 on this, and you bring in a number of new members and you're going to get some prize. We'll have a updated listing of rules and post them up and send them out to the membership, but this is going to be something fun for 2020 we're going to do. New award that we've got that I passed back in the January board meeting was the Order of Centurion, and this I think was a good way to honor folks that get to 100 years that have been long-time hams, been in the league. If you know somebody that meets this criteria, please get them, steer them our direction. There's a number of ways to prove the age. That was the big sticking point on getting this award put together at headquarters, but we've got several ways of doing that. And just go online, go to the website, look it up, and if you know somebody that meets this criteria, nominate them. If he meets it, do it. So we're at the end here, and you know, there's three things I do want you to take away from my talk tonight, and I want you to one, let's go out and recruit new amateurs. I'll bring it up right now. Be an Elmer, be a mentor. If it could be as simple as answering a question about what kind of antenna works best for you, but be an Elmer, help that new amateur. And let's build relationships with one another. Let's build relationships with our club. Let's build relationships with our served agencies, our EMA, our volunteer responders out there, our police departments, those of us that we help work with in disasters, our community. And let's especially build those relationships between ourselves. Let's be kind to our fellow amateur. That being said, how are we doing? We got any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I have two questions. What's going on with the Parity Act and the RF measurement deal on applications and renewals? I'm a little confused about the RF measurement, the new proposal.
That new,
I'm not sure if they're talking about doing away with it or making all amateurs do what businesses and the FCC does with all radio communication, television, all that. How does that work? And also the antenna restrictions in neighborhoods and the Parity Act. Those are my two main questions.
well, let me back up. Let's grab that first one about the RF exposure. The FCC's floated that out. I guess everyone's seen that, and Dave Sadal is digging into that. What we're going to try to do, of course, is try to make that as minimal to us as we possibly can. We don't do this for profit. This is a service we provide. We are a volunteer service. We are a self-training service providing emergency communications and education for ourselves, training, technical work. We make advancement in the radio arts. And I don't think it's fair that we should have to go to great expense on this. And that's going to be our angle coming at this, that this needs to be as minimal to us as it possibly can because of the service we provide, because of the good, the overall good we do to the general welfare of the country. And that is going to be our point coming back at the FCC. Hopefully we can get it minimized. Hopefully we could do away with it. I don't think we're going to be able to do away with it, but we don't need to do anymore what we're doing.
Well, why don't they do cell? Why don't
Exactly.
they do all this other stuff that are transceivers,
This is putting a pistol to your head right
Yeah.
here. So
So, I mean, why would they do that to amateur radio operators if they don't apply it to every industry?
well, that's the thing. They do apply it to some industries, but again, we need to look at this. And as I said earlier, it all comes down to how much revenue generation this, is providing. I think that's got a lot to do with it. So,
Anyone ever been injured by RF from a ham operator?
I don't know. We've gotten some RF burns. I remember one time I was working on a piece of gear. I accidentally touched a tube, but that was just being clumsy. RF burns happen, accidents happen, but no, I don't think anybody's been deliberately nuked by amateur radio station RF.
If they would have been, wouldn't it be these guys that change the lights on these television towers while the transmitter's running?
Yeah. Now, allegedly, some of those guys glow in the dark, but I know a couple of those guys, and
How they do that?
I don't know if it's from the RF or what they drink when they get back down on the ground, but
Yeah,
it's yeah.
but they do it, don't
They do it. They do it. Those things are hot. Yeah,
they?
absolutely.
Yeah, they're real hot.
Yeah, very hot. Yeah, absolutely.
If you like sticking your head in a microwave, wouldn't it?
Yeah, depending on the frequency. That's exactly right. Yeah, depending on the frequency, and that's got a lot to do with the safety issues, RF safety issue. I think frequency does have a dependency on it. There is a relationship there. Back to the Parity Act.
We've been waiting on that forever.
Well, I'm not in agreement with what they did. I mean, I think the baby was thrown out with the bathwater. I think something, could have been dealt with. Now we're back to square one with it. However, we may get a better product out of this in the end. Yeah, we may get a better product in the end with this. We get to go back now. Depends on the CAI, the community organization that came after us. Depends on what they're going to, they'll come after us, I'm sure, on anything we try to do. But I'm just waiting to see what they go. They're hammering out something. They're pretty close on coming up with a new piece of legislation to put forward.
I mean, why should we have to wait 10 years for something like this that should have been done in a year or two at the most?
Right.
They haven't done anything. They're stumbling around, ignoring it, shoving it off under the rug, and that's ridiculous.
I'll take that message back to you. This is being filmed. I'll be happy to show that to somebody. I don't disagree with what you said. They are working on something, getting the language. When you get 3 lawyers working on a piece of a document, you've got 3 different legal opinions. So they need to get in gear.
If you want to encourage the hobby, they have to be able to put up antennas, no matter where they live.
You've said it. You're absolutely
So
right.
that's a big problem.
It is a big problem for a lot of people, and it's getting to be a bigger problem and more widespread because all these new housing developments, all these new subdivisions, guess what? 90% of them are antenna restricted or better. Covenants and deeds, deed restrictions. But not in Bella Vista. Aren't you lucky? Back years ago in Batesville, Arkansas, and it was luckily we had a ham on the city council and asked me to help with the planning and zoning, and we became ham radio antenna friendly.
Well, you realize that these covenants are written by the developer.
Oh yeah, the developer does it, and he doesn't want all this stuff out here because you know what? He wants to sell all those lots and all those houses.
But he also has to get his development approved
Yeah.
by the community, whoever administrates.
Well, either the county,
development in that area.
yeah, either the county or the municipality, the Planning and Zoning Commission, if that's how it's set up, that's who approves it.
So they're approving his covenant.
Yeah. One approach may be, and this is something I'm not going to go. I can't go into that right now. I'll talk to you privately. That's good idea. Good idea. But that's one that is you've hit upon something there.
I mean, that's the group that wants to help.
Yep. That can be addressed in several methods. There is a way that can be addressed. And that may be something that can be helped. Now granted, it would be easier to deal with something through Congress with one whack. But you know what? You can achieve the same goals if you take 1,000 whacks at a smaller entity. But again, you're going to have to go after at each entity. Each one. You're going to approach, I'm not going to go after, I say approach each one. Well, now that's the key right there too. If you get at somebody on the inside, you've got a real good chance of altering policy, writing policy, or at least affecting it for the positive. Excuse me. I've been battling bronchitis too, so yeah, that's think about that. There are things you can do locally that can help yourselves, but yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem nationwide, and it's not going to get better. So we need to do something.
Hey, David, I have a question.
Tim.
Is your computer updated yet? Still at 6%.
No, we're to 25.
Oh.
25. That's 25%. We're at 25% and growing.
Well, Dave, I would just add that from a Bella Vista Radio Club perspective, under Glenn Kilpatrick's leadership, Glenn converted our club to an ARRL affiliated club. And
He did.
there is, those of us who are ARRL members recognize a tremendous value in being an ARRL, American Radio Relay League member. And the value is there. $50 is $50.
$50 is $50.
What's a year though? When you break it out
It's once a
on
year.
on a week to a month basis, it's not so much. But the value of the QST magazine alone and of having high-powered VIPs like yourself out, covering the hinterland and spreading the good news of amateur radio among the countryside cannot be overstated. So thank you for representing us.
Well, thank you for being a member. More importantly, I'll say this for all the bloviation and bluster a director or officer of the league can do: without the membership, we don't exist. Without you, we're nothing. It is you that are the league. It is you that are amateur radio. Without you, we don't exist.
We knew that.
Yeah, I know, but that's the point. This is guys. This is bottom up. This isn't top down, and I value your opinion over anything. And without the members, the good members in this division, I'd walk away from this thing in a heartbeat. You make it. All of you make this worth doing. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but seeing the passion out there and just the enthusiasm and the concern and the overall just camaraderie that I see in this hobby and in this organization, that makes it worth it. You're good people.